Greetings YouTube, Cross-Train here, World of Tanks today with you once again. Today I'm going to bring you a battle of my E100. I am platooning with my good friend Henry Blake, also in good goy minions. We are on whatever this map is called again. Let's see, Live Oaks. Live Oaks, we're both in our E100s. Tank comps are pretty similar across the two teams. Not sure what the percentage to win was, but I think we were slightly underdogs. However, if you look at the top here, you see that we've got, this is ridiculous. I've said this before, I'll say it many times. Usually I'm on the short end of this, but we have 2,700 more hit points than they do, which is the equivalent of another E100 in terms of hit points go. So I just think that's kind of crazy how that's balanced out. I know they don't do it by hit points, but nonetheless it just feels bad when you're on the short end of having an entire E100 at 2,700 hit points worth of fewer hit points. So enough of my rant on Matchmaker. If you ever played with me, you've heard me rant on that before, and probably will do it again. Regardless, to the game here. Henry and I are running into the city. I am working on heavy tank number 15 mission. This is for the T28 Concept, which is just the second missional tank. In this, I have to cause, receive, or deflect 8,000 hit points worth of damage. Now, just the battle before this, interestingly, we had been, in our E100s, we had been on Live Oaks, and I had achieved the mission. I had done about 10 or 11,000 worth of, although that included assisted damage, because I thought it included assisted damage too, and apparently it doesn't. But regardless, I'd done about 11,000, just short of 11,000 assisted damage. So I accomplished, this is a bad shot, hit upper plate. Don't shoot a T-57 in the upper plate, because it'll troll you then. Even with premium shells in the U100, it's going to bounce. So anyways, so I had just accomplished it in the last battle, but so I accomplished it, but we lost the battle. Therefore, I did not get the commendation that comes with completing 15. So I got the 4 commendations. I did not receive the one extra one for completing with honors, because you had to win the battle in order to get the commendation. So I did not. We ended up losing in a rout, actually. So we tried again, and we got the same map. Same basic comps, except for, again, we had more hit points in this one. And we're giving it another go. So, a couple of things. Picked up a couple of kills already. I've got about 1,600. Make that 2,200 damage already. We rolled the city pretty hard and pretty fast. And of course they rolled, as you can see at the bottom of the mini-map, they rolled the railroad side, and so at this point I decide that I'm going to go ahead and go back and at least delay. Yeah, I got a 17-second reload, so kind of a tough delay with a 17-second reload, but nonetheless I wanted to harass as much as possible and hope that we could either cap out or do something of the sort. So Henry's going to put pressure on the cap. I'm going back to defend. And when I look and see, oh, they've pushed through and they're coming, maybe made a mistake here, tactical mistake. Hit that E100, set him on fire. Henry picks up the kill, which is nice. Object 263. Waiting and waiting and waiting. He's down to 223 hit points. This is a tough tank if he turns towards me. And he is, and I really donk that shot. So while I'm waiting the 17 seconds to reload, right now we're having a decent, you can see that the other E100 said luck battle. E100 platoon. I'm not really sure what he meant by that, but whatever. We kind of rolled him, and so that 6-3 put in a shot that hurt, but I am going to finish him off with that second shot. So at this point, that M103, the enemy M103 is whittling down Henry, but I'm still trying to get back to Cap to disrupt, because I still think that they're going to have some tanks that are going to try to jump on the Cap. So at this point, I've got 3,900 damage. I already had a decent game. I already got 4 kills, and I'm on my way back, and then I decide, well, maybe not. The M103 goes down, but then Henry goes down to that 54E1, who's a good player. He is almost a 2,000 win 8 guy, Nads. He had a heck of a game right here, by the way. But he takes out Henry on the Cap, so I decide that I'm going to go back and join this tortoise, kind of roll around this side. Slow tank, but nonetheless, that was what I was thinking. Maybe roll up this edge, and figuring that our 2 TDs behind me, the Yak Tiger and the FE4005, can hold them if they swing in a counterclockwise direction as we're traveling right now, myself and this tortoise. So that was what I was thinking right now. Let me talk a little bit in the while that it's going to take me to get into position here. So you probably noticed I've been firing heat the entire time, and that is absolutely correct. If you're not familiar with the E100, the standard AP rounds have 235 pen, which is disgustingly horrible for tier 10, especially when you look at the other side and they've got some tanks with some armor that you need some penetration. So I will almost exclusively run heat with my E100. I know there's a lot of guys that do the same, because it is a 235 just ain't enough to get the job done, quite frankly. So I run, usually I fire my first shot standard round, and then preload heat for my second shot and beyond. And this time, though, with the E100 on the other side, who I expected I would see in the city, with the M103, who I expected to see in the city, with the 263 and the 183 that I thought might be in the city, with the E100, who I thought would be in the city, I preloaded heat from the beginning. Well, that's not the way it worked out, but regardless of that, so far it's working out okay for our team. At this point, I know I'm at almost 4,000 damage. I've sacrificed about 1,300 hit points, so that's a 6,300, and I don't know what I'd bounce at this point, because I don't have a mod that's telling me what the bounces are. So I know I'm getting close anyways, and so at this point I'm just, I don't really care whether I live or die, although I'd love to live, but I really just want to get this thing and then win the dang battle. So this Object 140 is just waiting for me. I got a 54E1 there. He's going to track me. I think I put myself over at this point, and I rammed this guy for another 250. At this point, it's probably a tactical error, but again, I just wanted to win the battle at this point. Should have shot this guy in a commander's hatch. I didn't. I bounced off his freaking turret, which of course happens in the 140, although the 140's turret is nowhere near as strong as the T28. I should have fired that shot right there, but instead I'm going to get taken down. The tortoise comes here. He is going to finish the 54 mod 1 just as a 54E1 finishes him. So here we are. We've got 14 tanks down. I mean, well, we've killed 14 tanks. They've killed 12, which means at this point in time our FE4005 is moving into the cap. This is a really, the 54E1 had a couple of choices here, but he really doesn't have any really great, even though he's had a great game at this point. I think he's going to end up with about 4,900 damage overall, but he's had a great game thus far. But I love what our team is doing right here. And I'm going to switch to one of them, don't worry, in a minute. I'm just sitting here looking, hoping the 54E1 went down by an arty shot, but he didn't. But watch what happens here. This is really interesting. Our 40-5 is sitting on the cap. You can see our bat chat on my mini-map is moving across. The bat chat arty is moving across. The Yag Tiger is set up as a screener in front of them, so he's going to pick up the 54E1 before. So now I switch back here. I'm trying to switch back. Watch what the bat chat arty does. Team player, baby. Look at that. He just parked himself right in front of the guy, the 40-5, with all the hit points. Yag Tiger's doing a great job of screening. Make sure that guy gets lit. The arty then faces down range as the 40-5 is. This is just great team play. You don't see this very much, but with him shielding the cap, that was just big. So we ended up capping this thing out. Now, I want to say this as well. Yes, it's true that the 40-5 is so tall that if the 54E1 had popped up over the top to, if he had taken the time to aim at the 40-5, I believe the Yag Tiger and certainly the 40-5 would have put a shell into him, because they're all just waiting for him to pop over the top. So it's probably the better part of valor that the 54E1 didn't try to do it. But the 40-5 did a really nice job hiding mostly behind this E100, which is Henry's corpse in the cap. And then I love what the bat chat already did, because you just don't see this in pubs. So who is that? What is? Let's see who we got. Eros 64. Props to you, man. Props to you. Way to go. Way to play as a team here in randoms. Nothing quite like it. So let's take a look at the post-game stats and see what the damage ended up being. So you can see that I get a first-class mastery badge, bunch of little ribbons, and a high caliber. Lots of damages here. You can see, contributed to a whole bunch of tanks. In fact, let's see, that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 of the 15 tanks in the battle. I did something, either bounced them or shot them or something or other. Did 4,918 damage with 4 kills. That's good for 1,009 XP. You can see the 54E1 actually damaged me by about 40. And so props to you, Nads, as well. Really, really, really nice game in a 54E1, which props to him for being able to play it. That's a tank I really struggle with. So, but again, this is a nice game. Our arty had a really nice game with 4,200 damage. Again, we distributed damage pretty well. They did as well, though. So they've got some nice distribution too. It is kind of tough here if they've got an Object 704 who did no damage. But they, as you saw, we kind of took them out sitting over the cap. Looking at the detail reports, you'll see that, again, I took 11 shots, 11 hits, 8 of them penned. I remember 2 of them. I can't remember the third one that I did not pen, but regardless, 4,918 damage. You see I blocked 3,250, which this is one of the greatest tanks for blocking shots. So just between those two, I've surpassed my 8,000. Plus I also gave up 2,700 hit points, which also counts damage received. So I ended up somewhere just short of 11,000 damage dealt, received, or bounced. And if you include my assisted damage, then I did 12,000. I counted this up, actually. 12,546 HP. So this was good enough to pick up the commendation because I surpassed the 8,000. And we won. So that was the secondary condition for heavy tank number 15. This is for the T28 Concept again. So I have completed my heavy tanks. Now it's just down to my TDs. I've got about 9 more missions to complete in the TDs, and so I'll start playing some TDs, it looks like. But anyways, this was a fun battle. It might have been my highest damage game ever in the E100. Even though it's a slow tank, did a lot of running around the field. Saw a lot of different. In fact, let's see. Look at that, 3 kilometers in an E100. That's a lot of mileage covered. So, anyways, this is a fun game. It was great to play with Henry in this game. We worked together well all night last night, and so it was good. Henry, thanks for your platoon mate ship. So appreciate it and look forward to doing it again. For the rest of you, look forward to seeing you on the battlefield sometime. This is Cross Train from World of Tanks. Peace.